Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, and I'm here to help you reach your potential as a leader and a human being. Welcome to Remarkable TV. Today we're talking about influence. Are you ready? Let's get started. So a few months ago, I did a post with advice for leaders in 2018. This is the second in a series of videos where I'm talking about that advice. And for today's episode, how I framed it in that blog post was more influence, less power. So let's face it, too many leaders get caught up in power. You know some of them, that it's like my way or the highway, right? Now, not everyone that's in a leadership role is on a deep power trip, but too often we play the position card. Even if you don't really think, man, that's not really what I try to do, but we pretty much all play that position card. I mean, we use the word boss for a reason, don't we? We too often, even in subtle ways, try to mandate behavior. And the reality is, if we want to be a more effective leader, it's not gonna work very well for very long. So I've got some advice for you today about taking this idea of focusing more on influence and less on power, okay? First, number is to understand the perspectives of others. What is the perspective that others have? See, oftentimes when we assume that we know what they want or need, then it's really easy to just to tell them what to do, and our assumption gets in the way, and therefore it comes across as a mandate. And because there is positional difference, we may get some compliance, but it isn't necessarily what we want. So number one, understand the perspectives of others. Number two, bring people in sooner. If you're making decisions, if you're thinking about things and you want to influence them rather than just edict things, then bring people into a conversation, bring people into a decision, engage them sooner in whatever it is, and that action alone will be influential, okay? Next, ask more and assert less. A few years ago in a workshop, I just made that statement, and it stuck in my head as being sort of profoundly true. Ask more and assert less. If we want to be more influential as a leader and as a person, if we will do less talking and do more asking, we're engaging the other person. And by asking first and asking more often, we've got a chance for people to come to a conclusion themselves or to share their perspective in a way that we can come to a collective decision. And even at the end of the day, if you have to make the final call, you've engaged them more and you understand their perspective, and you've got a lot better situation, which leads us to the next point, which is to create conversation. See, if we ask more and assert less, we begin to create conversation. But I wanted to put this in here specifically because as leaders, we often talk too much. And if we're doing the talking, there's not much conversation, is there? If we really want to be more influential, we want to create a conversation, engage people in what we're doing. And I can tell you, I don't always do it very well, but when I do, it makes a big difference, and it will for you too. Now next, I've got a bit of a caveat for you, or maybe two caveats. Here's the first one. Don't ask if you've decided. Like if you've already decided on the answer and you just want to take my advice, well, I'll ask them and see if I can get them to come to the conclusion that I already came to. Listen, people have pretty good BS meters. Like if you've already decided, don't ask. Just tell them. Now, if that's all you ever do, then maybe this video isn't very helpful to you. But if your goal really is to be more influential and use the power of your position less, then these things will help. And if you've decided, and there will be times when there's not really a discussion, you already made it a call, then just tell people that. And the last thing I have for you is take yourself less seriously. Yeah, there's a whole lot of leaders that take themselves a little too seriously, and that deep power trip comes from a place of high ego. Take yourself a little less seriously, and the chances of you being more influential will go up. There's a whole lot more I could talk about here than what we've talked about, but what I've tried to do is give you some very tactical and specific things that you could do right away to have more influence and focus less on power. Let me close with today's tweet. Leadership is all about influence. When we realize that and lead that way, we have a chance to make a remarkable. Did you know that every week I interview an expert on leadership or a highly successful leader on what we call the Remarkable Leadership Podcast? Yep, every week. Links right here for you to sign up and join us or just to listen to the most recent episode. And so if you've enjoyed this episode of Remarkable TV, I guarantee you'll love the podcast too. Take a listen and come back here next week for another episode of Remarkable TV.